then we did issue 4. To little or no fanfare, literally no one really talked about. No, now this time there are no reviews. Even the last time there were reviews, this one no reviews. No one's talking about us. So I'm like, why are we still doing this thing? But yeah, so at this point in time, my self-esteem is shattered. I am just like, nobody was right for me, nobody cares about this work. Like, yes, I care about the work, but if you don't see that reflected in like leadership and stuff like that, it gets to a point where you're just wondering, why do I do this? So I took classes, I attended writing workshops, just trying to get better. To be like, okay, maybe it's me, maybe I'm the issue, maybe it's, a lack of professionalism. Because also when you look at all the other publications like Lawware and bigger publications like Review, they all had these big names with these writers who all have MFAs and published here and shortlisted in this, and it's very, my name is Jeff and I'm a pilot. Like you are the Cicero Makanga. Everyone else is like big names. So it was just okay, what do I need to do to become better? So I went for classes. I went for classes for writing, I went for screenwriting classes, I went for so many classes just trying to improve the output. But then at some point in time I was like, okay, this is not working out. So I actually had left for this beer problem. I was like, I'm ready to go. I went to the farm, I became a farmer. I planted things, I went to say bargaining in the market, shouting at people. It was just, I just said a change of pace, because at some point in time I asked myself, like, if there was no internet, what skill sets do you have? What do you bring to the table? And I reached a point I could not answer that. I did not know what I was contributing to the zeitgeist. And yeah, but then in taking that long break, and because I went, as soon as the pandemic actually, like pandemic 2020 I came back to Nairobi officially like last year. But this whole time I'm on the farm, I am really learning the value of patience. And like, when you plant a pumpkin seed, and then the time it takes to grow, all the things you need to do, I kind of like just started seeing it very similarly to my writing. In the fact that like, yeah, we'll probably be there for 10 years, yes. Well, soon approaching 10 years now at that point. But steadily, they've been getting better. I cannot compare the past one and where we are today. So, which brings us down today. So I've come back and I'm like, no, we have to do this. But even as we're preparing for the anthology, there's a mental block in my head. So I'm like, what's wrong? Finally I have a chance to pay writers, because that was also a huge issue for me. Like the reason I left was I'm like, we have this publication, I cannot pay writers. I can only pay one person, which is just like, I thought we were in this to, help writers. So after all that time, I decided, you know what, I think it is best for me personally to focus on being an editor. And once I decided, like, I'm no longer, like, most times I introduce myself, like, hi, I'm a writer and an editor. But switching it to be like, I am an editor and a writer, it made me feel a lot better about, like, because my experience as an editor is like, I have 10 years experience in editing. I've worked for the school newspaper, I've written for parenting blogs, and I have no child. I've written for arts and culture, tech. I worked in what is practically, I worked in surveillance. That was not tech, that was surveillance. I was an op. Like I was an ops. And all these experiences, I'm like, that's what is, I'm not, I don't have to diminish my work and the experience I have just because I don't have an MFA, or I'm not like, I'm not Troyango, or the other big names. Yeah, so issue 5, issue 5, how did we come here? I did not expect a lot of submissions. Like, with the history that we had, I was just like, maybe 15 people would, be interested. Because I've also gone around again asking guys like, hey, would you like to write for me, please, please, please. But then I went to a friend of mine called Alvin. I don't know if he's young. But I came, a friend of mine, Alvin, and we were in the same writers workshop, and I asked him like if he wanted to work on the anthology with me, and he was like, no, me, I'm going to submit my story. But he introduced me to now Somto, who is the co-editor of this anthology. And it was actually very good because like the day before I messaged, I'd been looking at Somto's website and I'm like, who is this person? I read literally all his stories the day before. Alvin connects me to him, so I'm like, this is kismet. Like this is, the things like emotion, even without me wanting them to be emotion. So after that, Somto is amazing to work with. I think his like bio is my height. He's been published in everything, in every publication that you can think of. Class one, what, yeah, and again, I'm still feeling a little bit of intimidation, because I don't have those. I don't have those credentials. But he was so. I think he's like the most sensible editor I've ever worked with. They're like, you can like if you're going and exploring or something, like on the map or something, you can see the end. Like he can see the end. Like we were there looking, like, we go this way, we go this way. He's seeing the end without all the mark and stuff like that. So he was really a joy to work with. Very sensible editor, very kind to the writers, which is also something that I had also struggled with, because I was like, am I mean to my writers? Like, do they like are these comments too harsh? Like, wait, because sometimes you're just like, this sentence doesn't make sense. That's it. I don't have any other way to. But he would be like, is there a way you could do this? And the skill set that he had is just extremely admirable. And so we got 57 submissions. This is from 6 submissions. We were like, oh my God, what are we going to do? So what happened was, with the 50-something submissions, there were some stories that were just perfect when they came in. Like some of the writers, and it's so strange because like with some of the writers, like one of the writers is called Albert Nkero, he's from Nigeria. When he said that like this story, he had been working on it for ages, it had been rejected from every publication. But as soon as it came into our publication, we were like, look, this is publishing.